Scream when I left one of it. Everyone to the meeting? Warriors again. It's a mystery, baby. You got, I got some really good news. Great news with Warner Brothers. Amazing. Wish I could tell you, but here it is. Peter, I love you. James, I love you. David. Okay. Mwah.
And just like that, the news begins.
I mean, it was a no-brainer. I mean, look at him. When he was Aquaman, everybody, as soon as they saw that, if they knew Lobo, they were like,
you know. Lobo. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to the show. I decided to start a little earlier. There's really a good reason for that, Shane. I'm going to explain my reasoning in a second. But
I have a guess, but go ahead.
No, actually, take a guess.
I think it's because you were eating dinner too late.
No. Good guess. Because I am going to probably eat dinner a little later, but I want to end earlier than we have been lately, because today is a very special evening, and tonight's Monday Night Raw, live from Netflix for the first time.
Oh,
And I
right.
want to see it. I want
Right.
to see it. So I'm trying to do my best to move as fast as we possibly can. So we decided to start a little early. This was kind of like a last minute thing too. It wasn't like we planned this out a while ago. So
Yeah.
there's 3 people watching right now. They're probably like, "Oh, we'll show up at 6:30 or something like that." Even though I put it in all the chats, I'm like, "Okay, we're starting early."
I don't have notifications on Instagram. So I
Yeah.
just happened to be like, when I said sure, I was on my couch upstairs just waiting to come down here. I'm like, oh crap. I ran down and set everything up.
Yeah, because I just told you like 5 minutes prior. I'm like, okay. But
That's
you know,
okay. That's how I roll.
we still got people watching. So we got 5 people watching at the moment.
Yeah.
We got Las Cruces with Hooray. He showed up at 10:30 this morning.
He's a hero.
You know what I'm saying? But then he returned at 1:14. And you know who got right before that third one? Joe, the adventure. I met a fancy super gal, and I told her I won't surrender, but she loboed me into submission. Airs Las Cruces with hello from Nuevo Mexico. And there we go. 1063 Comics. Hello, welcome all. And you're actually we're simulcasting from both our streams. So, you know, he was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know, I'm not worried." You know what I mean? It's like, let's watch this stuff, you know. But
hey, the more the merrier. That's how I look at it.
And the word of the day is Lobo. Lobo is the word of the day. Because yeah, we're gonna be talking a lot about Lobo today, aren't we?
I think so.
And I have no problem talking about Lobo. Lobo is one of my favorite characters. I don't know what it is about Lobo that I love so much. I just like Lobo a lot, and I'm super hyped for it. But you know, we're definitely gonna be talking a lot about Lobo. And there's Christina Payne. Christina Payne, she got herself her wrench, and look at what she's been doing. She's already putting the links into the description. Thank you so much, Christina. JSS Brooklyn in the house. Yeah, early Izzy. That's right. Today's early Izzy. We also got Comic Verse Tone. What's going on, Tone? How you doing, my man, Tone? And so glad I picked up my Omega Man for $30.
Yeah,
Good gosh.
Deal. Yeah, great deal.
Well, I will say this much. I do have an Omega Man on its way. I'm really happy. I would have loved to have picked it up for $30, but it was the one book that was escaping me. And I'm happy to say I now am a proud owner of an Omega Man 3.
Great. I had that book in my hand months ago, and I'm like,
you didn't want to pull the trigger yet?
Yeah.
So I'll be having a copy to show you guys. But I did obtain another book, actually books that I might as well showcase off here, and that's Justice League International 18 and 17. I picked 19, right? It's 18 and 19. Yep, 18 and 19. These are great books. Look at those covers, man.
Yeah. Classic.
Kevin Maguire. Magnifique.
Yeah, I know. So good.
Got some good stuff.
That's kind of my knowledge of Lobo is really from those books.
Well, my knowledge from Lobo was his actual limited series. Where when it came out, I was really hyped about it, but I really started getting into Lobo when Lobo's Back came out. Remember Lobo's Back? That it had like multiple covers in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it is such a ridiculous story. So, you know, we got Adventurous Joe in the house. Look at it. I will eventually. There you go. All right, guys. As you can see, there is a super chat goal that we're going to be doing. With that said, I'm going to be doing some more really fun things here. So, let's see. You know, shout out to Black Spiders who won last week's giveaway. I'm feeling really nice. You know, so if we hit our goal of 10 super chats, and now we're going to be 10 super chats of any size. I have two comic books that I'm going to be putting in for today's giveaway. And here's the other great news. We are doing our January box. We're finally going to do our January box for the channel members. So if you're not a channel member, this is the perfect time to become a channel member. And let's see if I could give a shout out to the channel members. Again, huge thanks to all the channel members. You like that little thank you?
Yeah.
Fun
As
stuff
a member, I can say that I really appreciate that. Well, thank you.
So, thank you guys. We're gonna be doing a really cool channel membership box. Sometimes I usually do it like in a theme and stuff like that. So we'll see. But there will be a channel member box. I think we need a rat push. I might be able to get that though. Kenneth Bird is also in this house. What's going on, Kenneth Bird from Virginia? All right. It's time to talk a little bit about comics because again, we don't got a lot of time to talk about it. So we're gonna do our first part, which is the comic heat index. I'm so happy this list came in a little earlier today. So let's take a look at that list coming up right now. So this week, as you can see by the very top, I remember we spoke about two books that are next to each other right now. We talked about Return of the Living Dead, which came in last week, right? And then we talked about Omega Man because we got the news like on that day. It's been a week already since we got the news that Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo. Like it's official, right? I remember you said that Return of the Living Dead was going to be number one. And I said the main man might take over that place. So, how confident are you now?
Well, looking at the top four pictures, I'd say less confident. But I know that Return of the Living Dead is going to be higher on the list somewhere, I think.
All right. You guys, again, as I mentioned before, we are running a goal for today. I got two books. I'm not going to share them. Once we hit 5, I'll share what the first book is. Once we hit all 10, I'll share with you the next book. Okay. So I'll do that. Let's get started with this list because it is going to be a fun list. And we're going to start it off. We're going to start it off right with Green Lantern 59. This book came out in 1968. A 0.5 sold for just $26 this week. That's nuts. Yeah, even though it's a 0.5, so it's a damaged book, I guess. $26 is something. Fair market value of this book is 180, and a 5.0 goes for about 367, which is the most common. This is number 5 in Key Collector. The sales volume was 37%. High level of this book, medium. You were saying, Shane?
I just love this cover. It's classic, and to have this classic book in a 0.5, if I saw it, I would buy it.
$26, I'll buy it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll take it in a heartbeat, right? It is the first appearance of Guy Gardner. He's in a classic Green Lantern outfit, but the douche that we know and love, he debuted in this book.
Yep.
And I can't wait to see what Nathan Fillion's going to do with this character. All right, that's
number. Great. I think it'll be great.
Mm-hmm. That's number 10. Let's take a look at number 9. Mark Spears Monsters number 1. This is from 2024. Keen Spot. $190 sold this week. Fair market value is $172. A 9.8 goes for $321. The cover that we're looking at here is the cover that is currently on the list. It is number 4 in CBSI, and it didn't make it to Key Collector, nor did it make it to cover price. Sales volume of this book is at 40%, And the hype level is at a medium right now. I think Mark Spears is starting to cool off a little bit.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in a couple of months, because now everybody knows about the hype and it's all in the previews. I know personally, I ordered 6 books of his, where last preview, obviously not many people knew except for maybe Scotty. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when all those books come out, if they're hot or not.
Yeah, actually, so I spoke to Scotty today. I've been chatting with Scotty, and we were talking, and I was telling him, I didn't really know what the Mark Spears hype was all about. Yes, I agree, Universal Monsters are hot, but there's other Universal Monster properties that are out there that are not as hot. It's this Mark Spears part to it. We'll find out later today why.
Yeah.
So we're gonna find out. I found out why.
I can't wait to see.
And I'm not surprised anymore. So at number 9, Mark Spears Monsters number 1. This is cover A. It is the King Spot book. Keep that in mind. That's another thing to start recognizing. All right. Let's take a look at number 8. DC All-In Special number 1. This came out not that long ago in 2024. Near mint value, $5. And fair market value, $8. $90 for a 9.8. This is currently only at cover price at number 7. What really built this up was the sales volume at 180%. This book is still selling because it's a new book and it's fairly inexpensive. The hype level of this book is at a medium right now. So that all in, Absolute Universe, the debut of all these characters.
Yeah, like thoughts? I said, people that are climbing on board the Absolute are new readers, and they kind of they find out about this book or hear about it, they're going to try to find it. And I think that's what all the sales are, is people that kind of might have missed it at the beginning are going back and picking it up.
Absolutely. All right. Let's take a moment here to take a look at people in the chat. Woo. Remember, She-Hulk smashed that thumbs up. Thank you so much. The Immortal Biggie Shack. What's going on, my man? How you doing? Happy New Year as well. Hope everything is well. I'm with you. I think this book is going to stay. It's going to remain kind of in this stratosphere because it's so inexpensive at the moment. So there you have it. All-In Special number 1. Let's take a look at number 7. Ha ha ha!
I was Loboed.
You were Lobo indeed. Return of the Living Dead number 1. This came out last week. So it's the only book in our list from 2025 at the moment. All right. The fair market value of this book is at $14. 9.8 is going at $87. A near mint sold for $19. It is number 6 in CBSI. It is number 6 in cover price. The sales volume of this book is at 143%. The hype level is at a medium. I was very fortunate enough to go to Midtown Comics on New Year's Day when they opened at 12 o'clock. They opened up late because of New Year's, and there was the book. And thankfully, I picked up more than one copy.
That's good. I was at a shop on Thursday. I was making my rounds trying to find a few things, and I went to the shop, and underneath the counter as I was talking to him, I looked down, and he had 2 copies of this. And I was like, "Oh, are those for sale?" And he's like, "Nah, they're for a customer." And I'm like, "No!"
You pulled a Homer Simpson moment, right?
Yeah.
This book is, again, we don't know what the print run for this book is. It's from an indie company, American Mythology Productions. I cannot see them have a high print run of this book. Now, granted, they know about the heat of Mark Spears brings, right? So I'm assuming they make more copies than they would normally do, but I don't have a number of how many copies actually exist. So who knows what's going to happen with this book. Right now, the book's already trending at that $20 mark, and it just came out a week ago.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, it's the only book from 2025. So we'll see how long it can hold on.
Yeah. So according to JSS, there is a 250 print run variant called More Brains.
Yes.
Only 250. Yes.
I sent a picture of that to Scotty, because I think it's $30 Canadian or US. I'm not sure which.
But is it a Mark Spears cover?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we'll probably see that book coming in this list soon. Yeah. So there you have it. Return of the Living Dead #1 at number 7. Let's take a look at our next book. Hey, my boy Jeff, he's still on the list.
He's still here.
He's still here, but it's not the Jeff verse this time. It's Jeff. That's the book we have. Last week it's Jeff. I said last year. Technically, I'm right. No, yeah, technically I'm right. It's Jeff #1 back in 2023. It came out from Marvel, near mint value, sold for $61. Fair market value is $46. 9.8s are going for $53. This is number 9 on cover price. Check out that sales value. 284%. Now, the hype level is medium because it, people are, they got their Jeff love already.
Yeah.
But still, that's very impressive for this title.
For sure. Now let me ask you, 9.8 of first appearance of Jeff or 9.8 of first Lobo? Which are you taking?
Lobo. I'll take Lobo. And I'm sorry, I love Jeff, but the main man's the main man.
All right. Okay.
All right. Chris.
I think he's just saying that to irk you.
I thought we were friends, man. I thought we were friends, man. He loves Jeff. He's just doesn't know it yet.
He's a closet Jeff fan.
He's a closet Jeff fan. You know it. He loves it. All right, there you have it. It's Jeff #1 at number 6. Let's take a look at what came out at number 5. Spawn 360. This is the Brett Booth 1 in 50 Virgin variant. This book came out last week. Last week. The book is already sold for $243. There's no slabs. The fair market of this book is $297. Number 5 in CBSI, number 3 in cover price. The sales volume of this book is 28. It's a 1 in 50. That makes sense. The hype level of this book is now high. Spawn is currently hot. This one's important for 2 factors. 1, Todd McFarlane is back writing. And 2, that Brett Booth cover is just phenomenal.
Yeah. My store didn't get any of these in, so I haven't even got this book yet, but I've been waiting to pick it up. So I'm hoping this week I can get it finally. And I don't know if they've got this one. I'll have to message them and ask if they qualified for it, but I doubt it.
It's a gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
Like, this brings me back to that early Spawn in the 90s, how he felt back then, which it felt more superhero when now it's more like a horror book.
Yeah.
But this is such a cool looking cover.
I'm looking forward to this arc with Todd. I want to see what he's been doing.
All right. This is not the last of Spawn because our very next book is Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, #1. Todd McFarlane 1 in 50 black and white variant. This book was in the list last week. It's back again. Funny that the last recorded sale is exactly the same as the previous book at $243. I had to do a double check on that. But yeah, they both sold for $243 exact. The fair market value of this book is also at $297. And as of right now, there's currently no recorded slabs for this book. It is number 3 in CBSI. It's number 5 in cover price. Believe it or not, they're actually flipped between CBSI and cover price. It's kind of interesting to see that. Sales volume of this book is at 34%. Sorry. And the hype level is high as well. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that that people are sending this through the ultra fast walkthrough at CGC, so we'll likely see some of these in the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, those and I'm just imagining what those slabs are going to be going for. Just imagining, because if this book is going for 240, 250, what are they going to be selling those slabs for once they come out?
I don't know if anybody has actually held it, but is it like those really great cardstock covers that you might even see some 9.9s?
You might see some 9.9s. I agree with that. I think it is a cardstock, even though I myself have not seen it. The color version is a cardstock. So I'm assuming this is also a cardstock. Let's take a look at what's number 3. And number 3 is that dog. He's back. Crypto the Super Dog, Superman 680. This book came out in 2008 for DC Comics. Current last sold was $35 near mint. Fair market value is $43 on the very fine, $125 for 9.8. This is number 4 in key collector and number 8 in cover price. Did not make it to CBSI. Sales volume of this book is 107%. That means there's a lot of books that sold. And the hype level is still high for crypto. People still love crypto.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Mr. Gunn like sees all the hype around crypto and throws out another trailer that's got lots of crypto in it.
I know, right? Digger Jim, what's up, my pal, my man? How you doing over there? And he's giving us a woof for crypto. Okay. Before we get into number 2 on our list, there's a certain somebody that needs to introduce himself. So we're going to introduce him right.
Ain't felt nothing yet. Hi. Name's Lobo. Please stop. You're making me blush.
For those of you who don't know, that was a very short-lived series, Krypton, that was on Sci-Fi, and Lobo. That's the first live-action version of Lobo, and Lobo number 1 is at number 2. This book came out in 1990 for DC Comics. Last recorded sale was $20. Fair market value of this book is at $16. A 9.8 is going to cost about $186. It is number 2 on Key Collector, number 2 in CBSI, number 4 in cover price, and the sales volume of this book is at 98%. Hype level is, of course, high.
Everything you want. Classic cover, looks great, catching, and great characters. So, yeah, it's good.
All right. We got our first super chat from Papa Wheelie. What's going on, Papa? Thank you so much. Yeah, T-minus 133 minutes to Raw. You see, he knows what I'm talking about. We're all hyped up. We want to see this first episode of Raw. So as you can tell, we're going a little fast here. But you know what? You're getting one of these.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Thank you so much, Papa Willie.
Love it.
You gotta have that Lobo butt cheek book. I got a lot of Lobo books. I'll tell you that much. Lobo's one of my personal favorites. This cover, I remember this cover so vividly. I have a copy. I'm happy to say, I had a copy of this book. I sent it to CGC and it came back at a 9.8.
Awesome.
I'm super happy. I got to give credit to Rich, Comic Cap Collectibles. He did the pressing for it, and then we shipped it out, and we got it at a 9.8. So I'm super stoked that I have this book
a tough book to get in that for sure. Because look at that black border.
Well, it's the black border. The 99 cents price tag for this book was because it was the paper was kind of crappy. But I love this book. I love Simon Bisley's artwork in this book.
Yeah, great.
So great in this book. We got DVH in the house. Who. I would put on the sound effects because I do have sound effects for DVH, but I don't have them on. I don't have them connected just yet. My Stream Deck went bad for a moment, as I was telling you earlier before the stream. So I got to find out what's going on with it. But just to remind everybody, we are doing super chats. If we get to our goal of 10, I'm going to add 2 books into a giveaway for today. 2 books that you might want. All right. It's time for number 1. And, for those people that weren't here earlier, I think we need to show it again. What do you say?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Screen one on one of others. Everyone to the meeting? Warriors again. It's a mystery, baby. I got some really good news. Great news with Warner Brothers. Amazing. Wish I could tell you, but here it is. Peter, I love you. James, I love you. David. Okay. Mwah.
And number
Awesome.
1 in our list, Omega Men number 3. 1983, this book came out. $75 near mint was the last recorded sale. Fair market value of this book is at $96. And a 9.8 is going for $404. This is something I don't normally see. Shane, Key Collector, CBSI, and Cover Price have this book at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody's talking about that, so that I'm not super shocked by that for sure.
So, and the sales volume of this book is at 207%, which is quite amazing for a book that goes back to 1983. The hype level is high. People were getting ready. Everybody was stoked about it. We knew it was coming. They just never made it official. They made it official.
They just increased the ticket sales for that Supergirl movie exponentially.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Papa, he wants a wrench. Does Papa deserve a wrench?
Sure.
You want to give him the wrench? And now he said I had that book. You could have done a trade with me. Brought it back when it first. Yeah, I love this. I love Lobo. And what's up, Trev, the shipping guru? What's going on, my man? Kingdom of Nerds is also in the house. What's going on, everybody? Oh, I love me Lobo. I'm just a huge fan of Lobo, man. I just can't help myself. I love Lobo.
We need that trailer. We need a trailer.
I don't care. Who cares about Superman now? I want to see the Supergirl movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The minute this book is going to also skyrocket again once we see him in the garb. Because once that trailer pops, when you see Jason Momoa in Lobo gear, this book is just going to go even higher than what it is now.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they'll do a little teaser in the Superman movie at the end?
That's a good question. There's a possibility. I would say there's a possibility. Because if they're making an announcement now, it's because they're going to get ready to start filming. If they start filming, they might be able to throw in something like at the end of the Superman movie to kind of like lead you to the next one. Even though James Gunn pretty much went in the record to say that the end credit stuff are not going to be leading to another movie or something like that. It's just going to be kind of like some fun end credit thing. So who's to say we're not going to see Lobo? I think we might see him before that movie. I do think we will see him before the movie. My question is, how much screen time will he have in the movie?
Exactly. I'm hoping more than a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm. Here's one. Chris is saying it'll be in Peacemaker. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I could see that in Peacemaker. So no matter how you slice it, no matter how you say it, Lobo's here. And he's Jason Momoa. So
it's awesome.
Omega Men number 3, the first appearance of Lobo, is number 1 on this list. It might be number 1 again next week. Who's to say it's not? If there's any other news that come out of the stratosphere, and there's no news, if there's no news, this will be number 1 again next week.
Number 1.
I almost guarantee it. All right, guys, you tell me, what do you think about the ranking system? Which books do you have? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know which book you're going to think is going to be number 1 next week. With that said, look at that. We kept under 30 minutes. That's good,
impressive.
right?
That's impressive.
You can tell I really want to see wrestling today. All right, guys. Let's remove that from this list here because I don't need that anymore. And it's time to go back and look at the books that were hot 30, 60, 90 days ago. For a minute, they just froze on me. I was wondering, I was like, what's going on here? All right. This is the part of the show that's called 30, 60, 90. It's actually not a long segment. It's a pretty short segment, but we take a look at books that were hot a month ago, 2 months ago, and then finally 3 months ago. As you can see from the screen right now, there's 3 books there that really two of the 3 I think people are still talking about today. The third one I think has cooled off, but again, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So let's go ahead and take a look at these books now. So let me just do this here, and There we go here. Our first book in the list here is Mark Spears' Monsters #2, the Ultimate Comics ASM 601 Homage. This was limited to only 500 copies. This is from Keen Spot. And this book came out in December 2nd is when it made its mark. The top weekly sale of the book was at $60 and 67 units were sold. That was a growth of 44%. The raws were going for $52 and there were no slabs at the time. Tell me your thoughts on this cover once again.
So I was just going through some books to send, and I came across my ASM of this, the J. Scott Campbell cover. And I personally really like these homage covers. So this is one of my favorites that Spears has done in that Monsters run for sure.
Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about later when we start talking a little bit more about Mark Spears' books is that this book is issue number 2 in the Keen Spot comics distribution. There is a Kickstarter that was created, and this was actually part of the first issue, not the second issue. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to our creator spotlight later. So let's take a look at how this book has performed since then. So here we are. The book is still tracking at the same. It's tracking even higher. It's been over a month now, and it's selling for $75, and $77 is the fair market value of this book. So it's still hot, even though it's only been 30 days.
Yeah, for sure. And Mark Spears, I mean, when do we get to the bottom, really? I don't know if it's going to happen for a while.
Mm-hmm. But I agree. And there's a lot coming through the pipe. I can tell you that much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the sales that we've seen happen in this book. And we go to our sales data. There are no slabs, so this is going to make this a little faster, which I'm happy about. And roughly, the book has maintained that $75, $90 price tag. However, it was at an all-time high at $150 in November. So late November, this book was super, super expensive. And what I mean by super expensive, I'm talking about $150 it was going for as opposed to $75 now. So before the time frame that we talked about, this book was at a high of $150. It's now dropped half its price.
Yeah, and that could just be, an adjustment for, people having access to more of them, or they got their orders. I noticed when I was going through the Keen Spot ordering in previews, a lot of their books are limited print runs. So, and they're allocated sometimes too. So,
yeah, and this one only has 500 copies attached to it because this is an exclusive retailer variant to Ultimate Comics, so they had the rights to it. So it wasn't something that you could go to a shop to pick up. You had to order this through Ultimate Comics website. And then, if you want to find it in a third party like eBay or something like that, then you could purchase it at that second, that secondary market. All right. So that's that book there. Let's go back to our list here and let's take a look at our next book. It's a book that, what's going on this thing? There we go. That's more like it. It's a book that I think we've talked ad nauseum, but to be completely honest, that's just how it is, right? Absolute Batman #1, back in November 4th, this book had a weekly sales of $133 at 9.8. Weekly units was at 114. It only had a growth of about 5%. However, the most common raws were $24, while slabs was at $110 at a 9.8. We talked a lot about Absolute Batman, and I think we're finally reached that point where we're about to get issue 4 coming out very soon. I believe it comes out this week, issue 4. And it had a nice little cliffhanger in issue 3. I'll admit to that part. However, I think everybody has a copy now and they're happy.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think kind of what's happening is if you look at like a blockbuster movie, it has a great opening and a great second week, but then word of mouth starts to get out to people that wouldn't usually go to this movie or buy this comic. And they're like, oh, you know what? I kind of like Batman. I'll buy this book and just, see what it's all about. And I think that's what is carrying this book a lot now.
Okay, so let's take a look at how this book is projecting now. It's been 2 months since that original run. All right, it's $31. That's the fair market value and the last recorded sale. So it's practically the same price. The 9.8 dropped a little bit. Yeah, the 9.8 dropped a little bit of $113. If you take a look at a 9.9 sold for $600. Somebody got that one big.
Wow.
But if you look at it, the price has maintained. It really has. It hasn't really gone anywhere. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. I'm putting together a submission now, so maybe I'll send both of my copies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a couple as well. I have the Noir right there, which I think that's my favorite right now, the Noir edition. So if you look at the sales data, let's just take a quick peek there while we're at it. We can see here that this book is still selling. Like, it's still selling, and it's selling at that price tag around $40, $39.99, $34.99, $39.99, $34, $38. So that's where it's leveling at. There cannot possibly be that many slabs, though. Let's just take a look here. Wow, there's already 100 slabs, and there's 2 9.9s that are recorded and sold. That is impressive.
Yeah,
but we're looking at 110, 119, 110, 110, $100, 104. So it's about $100. Not bad for 9.8s.
No.
And then, of course, there's 9.6, there's 9.4s, 9.2.
Oh,
okay. And even the 9.2 sold for $60. That's not bad. Double the price. So overall, Absolute Batman, I think is going to be hot for a little while. I don't think it's going to die out anytime soon. But only time will tell, as they say. Let's go to our last book in this list, and that is The Beauty, #1. This came out in 2015 for Image Comics. During the week of October, the first week of October, this book was at a top weekly sale of $115 at a 9.8. It sold 35 units. It had a growth of 164%. The raws were going for about $8. That's very fine. The slabs were going for about $82 at 9.8. This book became hot because it was optioned. It was optioned for a series. It's a very interesting concept. It's one that I think will work well. I believe it's a TV series. I don't think it's a movie, if I remember. What's your thoughts on this book right now?
So this is a book that I remember seeing, but missed it and was just kind of like, well, I'll see what happens with it, and just kind of never got around to getting it. So it'll be interesting to see if it slowly starts to sink down now.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're about to see that right now.
Yeah. That would not be a surprise.
The last sold book was $15. 9.4s are the most commons are near mint at $34. 9.8 is going for about $82. So, it has sunk a little bit. However, it from its all-time high of $115 back in September, but it hasn't sold. This book, we talked about this about a month ago. We were talking when this book was at the 60 mark. This book hasn't sold a book since October.
Yeah. And, if it keeps dropping and it got to like case cost, plus a little bit, that would be a great time to pick it up if you're into that type of TV spec type thing.
Well, it is. I would say it is a good time now to kind of get prepared for it. The thing is, because it's an option, We just don't know how long it's going to take. Just look at what we're talking about with Lobo and Jason Momoa. It took approximately about 2 years for the news to come out of something we already knew was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing as like something is killing the children like that. Who knows when that would ever happen?
Yeah, and it's happening. We know that. We just don't
Yeah.
know when it's happening. So that is our 30, 60, 90 for today. I said it was going to be short, you see?
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Overall, these books are good books. I like them all. I think the beauty has potential. Obviously, Absolute Batman, and Mark Spears' Monster. What's to say? There's nothing else to say about those books,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
like I said before, I'm just looking forward to when the new previews that are up for order now start hitting, because stores will have heavily ordered all these Mark Spears books then, and we'll see if the market can absorb them.
yeah. All right, guys. It's the most popular segment's about to begin. Whew. We keep saying the name Mark Spears, don't we?
Spears.
All right. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to talk a little bit about Mark Spears.
I'd like to learn a little bit more about him, Izzy.
Yeah, so we're going to use this time for our creative spotlight to focus our attention on this small-time artist known as Mark Spears. With that said, it is now time for our segment we like to call Creator Spotlight. Creator Spotlight. This week we didn't do a poll, so don't worry, guys. I'm just thinking about the Avengers Joe's. Like, I was looking for the poll this week. We didn't do the poll. So I was talking to Shane and I said, what if we talked about Mark Spears? Because frankly, I need to know what's going on. Why is he so hot? And I did some research this week, and now I understand why. Again, a lot of people kept saying it's the Universal Monsters, and that I agree that has something to do with it, but I think it's a little bit more than that. And I was right in my assumption that it was more than that. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Mark Spears. Did you get a chance to do a little research on Mark Spears, since you kind of knew we were going to talk a little bit about him?
I did a little bit. Yeah, I was really looking forward to this actually, because this is one of those artists that's so hot, but that I don't know a ton about. But I did check my CLZ, and I probably have one of the most unknown Mark Spears covers. I'm just going to shout it out there. He did a cover for Rat City. I think it's issue 9, I believe. I can't remember for sure. But I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that cover. I loved it. But I didn't realize it was him, because it was well before all of the hype.
Yeah. And believe it or not, we're not going to talk about Rat City. I was like, that was one book I said, I'm not going to put it up. So, but there are other books that we're going to talk about in the book. Let's go ahead and say what's up to Black Spiders. How's it going, my man? Happy New Year's. All right, let's take a look at Mark Spears, and let's do a little biography. Right, Mark Spears is a renowned comic book artist and painter, best known for his Mark Spears Monster series, which was adapted into a comic book topping 2024's trending list. He won 2020's Rondo Halton Classic Horror Awards Artist of the Year and created poster art for Spirit Halloween, the movie, in 2022, with work is featured in the film. In 2023, Todd McFarlane's Artist Spotlight showcased Spears, which contributed covers to Spawn, The Scorch, King Spawn, and Gunslinger Spawn. Spears launched his Monsters trading card series in 2021 with follow-ups in 2022 and 2023. Known for blending realism with classic horror, Spears is widely regarded as the top artist of 2024, celebrated for his compelling style and contributions to comics and fine art. Fans can explore Mark Spears' work on his official website, markspearspixels.com. So, as I was doing this research, I found out that he was part of that that Spawn universe of artists, and that said to me, now I'm starting to get this. So not only you had the Universal monsters, you also had the Spawn. I don't know what we call them, the Spawn heads. What do you Spawn fans call yourselves? All right,
I don't know.
the Spawnies. I don't know. So
Spawnies.
you have that fan base on top of Universal fan base, but then to top it even more, he is also a renowned painter within the fine art community, right? So let's take a look at some of his work outside of the comics before we go into the comics. Here's a classic Spears image. I've seen this poster,
Yeah.
and I would have never known it was a Spears.
You can barely tell that it's a painting, let alone like if you don't know a lot about basketball and just look at it.
Yeah. Like even the background, like the images are unfocused, so that's how you look at it. But it is a Spears, so he's done work there. It's obviously James, LeBron and Jordan. So there's that one. One of his most famous paintings is that Santa in the Major for Christmas. It's also called The First Christmas. When I saw that, I was like, wow, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that before.
That is one of his highest selling paintings.
The detail of that is amazing.
Also, you have a Muhammad Ali image. And again, all this can be found in his website. If you go to his website, you see it. There's so much stuff. I only picked some of them, but that Santa is one of his highest selling pieces. And lastly, look at that Sandy Koufax.
Yeah.
That is detailed.
And
So,
Spears, like once you know his style, like the green, it's there. So
yeah, you start noticing the vibrance of his colors, and part of the reason that his colors are so vibrant is because he's using RGB lighting sensibilities, which actually they don't translate well to print because you have to use CMYK. I was looking at an interview that he was in, and that's something he was doing. For those of you who don't know, you kids out there, that guy in the middle, that's Columbo. Shane, are you familiar with Columbo?
oh yeah. I used to watch that show all the time.
Yeah, Columbo was a very popular 70s detective series. It was that's what it was. Peter Falk. Yeah, absolutely. Just look at like I see the Mark Spears Monsters comics, and I see it in this image, like the green and the lighting and
Oh yeah, for sure.
And of course those two icons of basketball, Bird and Johnson. Whew, magic, gorgeous. So I agree, DVH, that Peter Falk is superb. And K-Pot, what's going on, Katie? How you doing? It's crazy to seeing this stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right. So go check out the stuff. Like I said, he has a lot. There's so much. Like he's from Alabama, so he did a lot of the college basketball teams that were there and college football teams. I didn't pick those up as much, but this is amazing work. All right, let's take a look at some comics. Starting with his very first published work, and that is Vampirella Mind Warp #2. This is a 616 Comics Virgin variant. This is an exclusive comic that came out in 2022. So we've only had 3 years of Mark Spears. That's it. And he already has a whole bunch of stuff out there. So, I got a typo. Just caught it. Damn typos. So, fair market value of this book is at $86 near mints. There's 9.8s there going for $148. I decided to add the highest sale. The highest sale of this book was at $180 and 9.8, and that happened not that long ago in 2004, not in 2. No. So, this is an homage to another image, another Vampirella image that's out there, but it is his first published work.
Jump on it now.
Yeah, very inexpensive. Yep. But if you think $86 is too much, there's some other books that you might want to consider. Maniac of New York. Don't call it a comeback, #1. It's hard to even say that with a straight face. This is from Aftershock Comics. This came out in 2023. This book has a high sale of $8.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of tell, like, he did a lot of store variants, so he was probably
Mhm.
trying to get his name out there, and like before anybody knew, really.
Mm-hmm. There's no slabs recorded, and I see a typo here. I see multiple typos. I'm losing my brain here, but that's fine. Yeah, it's just one of those books. I remember this book when it came out. I saw this book and I said, "Oh, cool," you know. But now his style is so recognizable that you see it and you immediately know because you understand his sensibility when it comes to colors. I think that's his strong suit, the colors.
Yeah, the color and the perspective of the characters for sure.
Mm-hmm. And there goes Phil. Soylent Green is people. Yes, they are. Let's take a look at our next book in our list, and that is his first Spawn book, which is King Spawn #20. This came out in 2023. Guys, this is a $3 book. The highest value of this book was at $46 and 9.8. However, the last recorded sale was $5 this week.
Where's my notebook? I got to start writing this down. I'm going to try to find this book on Wednesday.
It might sell out. Look, just I'm speechless. So Todd McFarlane was able to, I guess, find Mark Spears or something like that, and he ended up, what was really cool is hearing the stories of Mark Spears talking about when he was doing covers and how he had to get approved and things like that. And one of the things that was told to him is that Todd does not like artificial colors. And he said, "Okay, no, I won't do artificial colors." And then he went to his wife and he tells his wife, like, "What's artificial colors?" So it turns out what Todd meant was that if the sky is supposed to be blue, then the sky is supposed to be blue. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
he wanted to have a natural habitat in his artwork. And what's very interesting to note is that sounds so anti-Todd when you hear stories about Todd and how he was always against the establishment. So here you are, Todd's people becoming that very same thing that Todd didn't want to be. So, of course, in traditional Todd McFarlane fashion, Mark will do little things here and there that they would say, "Don't do that," and then try to get away with it. And he did, because Todd said, "It looks great." So,
yeah. I mean, what can you say to that cover? You get that across your desk, you're like, yes, I love it.
Print it. Exactly. So this is one of those books. And again, it's his first image, first Spawn comic. And he will be back on Spawn. Mm-hmm. So $3. Pick it up
too. That's good.
Yeah. So pick it up now because this book is going to rise in value. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
And I know when it's going to rise too. We'll talk about it when we get to it much later. Another one, Gunslinger Spawn 18, another very inexpensive book. The fair market value of this book is $4. However, there are 9.8s of this book. I see another typo. Oh my goodness. $36 for 9.8. The highest sale of this book happened early April for $53 for a 9.8. However, this book just sold for $3 this week. And this is his first Gunslinger Spawn. This is the book I was talking to you about as far as the colors go.
Right.
And the other thing is that cat. There's something about that cat that he added to the image. And they were like, okay, it's like, let's put the cat. It's like, I just put the cat there. And the cat appears in other books.
So cool. Such a great cover.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Black Spiders. Spears loves the blues. Must be singing the blues, you know? Okay. Our next book is another Spawn title. This is The Scorch, issue number 16. This came out again in 2023 for Image. Fair market value of this book is $3. The highest sell was $9 back last year. Well, really not a couple of weeks ago, really. However, a recorded sale of it went for $3. This is starting to become more traditional Mark Spears looking imagery.
Yeah, but all the classic stuff is still there, like the green, the kind of not really a background, but a color like smoke. I mean, yeah, classic.
Yeah. And now we got to a book that a lot of people are familiar with right now because it has been on the list before. Headless Horseman Halloween Annual #1. This is cover C. This came out last year in 2023. Well, 2 years now. Fair market value of this book is at $97. There's still no recorded slabs for this book. This book did sell at $100 not that long ago. And the last recorded sales value of this book is at $95. It is his first Dark Horse comic. It is a Headless Horseman comic. So now we're starting to see the value of Mark Spears. And one of the things that Mark Spears does very interesting, it's kind of hard to note it here, but if you guys know Todd McFarlane is very notorious for doing the little scroll. Mark Spears homages his work with that same scroll.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so it's a great cover. That skull looks so good.
Yeah, I love the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I must have a Spears Ghost Rider cover. Please make that happen somehow.
It might take a while. Because Marvel is what's the word? They haven't been working well with Spears, but he will be doing stuff with them. Unfortunately, it's not going to be comic book based from what I heard. Right. So figure drawing, nah, bro. Hey, it may not be for everybody. I'm okay with that. You know, but he has been compared to Alex Ross. And he's being compared to Alex Ross. I think what's ended up happening is it's the fact that his work is that painter style. He still works in a digital medium, but it's still a painting style.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit how his comparison to Alex Ross is becoming more and more closer. Yeah. Yes, they do. They do compare him to Alex Ross. Here's one that it is the first DC comic. So it's Batman Superman World's Finest 2024, the annual. It's the 1 in 50 variant. This is going for $22. The highest sale was $40, and the last recorded sale was $15. So it's very inexpensive because it's a 1 in 50. It still has a little bit of value to it and rarity to it, but it is his first DC book. The blues that you see there, now we talked a little bit about the blues, right? Part of the reason why you're getting those blues the way they are has a lot to do with the formatting that he was utilizing. So when you are doing digital art, a lot of times they're utilizing RGB or CMYK. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, RGB is red, green, blue, which is the colors for light. So when you're working on a digital media, it makes sense to use RGB. However, when it comes to printing, it's CMYK. Unfortunately, if you are using RGB in your art style, what ends up happening is when you transition over to CMYK, the computer system cannot identify it one for one. So it has to translate it to that CMYK. And that's why a lot of his earlier works has that kind of bluish tone to it. Here is a perfect example. where his Superman is very blue. But what you'll start seeing as time progresses is that he's starting to become more familiar with that, and he's actually starting to do more artwork in a CMYK format. Make more sense for him. It's like, you know what? I have to do it the way it's going to get printed, which makes the coloring schemes a lot better. But for those of you, this is his first Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fairly cheap price, because I know a 1 in 50 here in Canada would be at least $50 for me to pick up.
You might find this in the wild even cheaper. Until people start recognizing these books exist, people are going to pick them up and not realize what they are until they find out. Hey, yo! Comic Cat Collectibles is in the house. What's up, my man? You know what? I noticed that too with the foreshortening as well. So you're not wrong in saying that figure drawing. Absolutely correct. Here's one that's a popular one. This is Action Comics 1066. This is the 1 in 25 variant. This came out this year. Fair market value of this book is $157. 9.8s are going for $170. The highest sold was $200. And it last recorded sale was $148, which was this week. It's his first Lobo, and I think we're going to see more Lobo coming soon.
Yeah, and the detail on the hands and everything is amazing.
So if you really look at the image, like, it's kind of hard to see it from this perspective, but if you look at it, it's kind of it gives you this Hannibal Lecter vibes to it, because there's people hanging in the background, and he's using Superman's cape as a bib. But that is Lobo for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's Lobo. That's Lobo.
And he likes blue, and Lobo's blue, so it works.
He's more gray. So there it is. Here's another one that's very underappreciated, I'm going to say. That's Green Lantern War Journals issue number 12. This came out again this year. We're looking at books that came out this year for $5. That's what the price of this book is, $5. It's his first Green Lantern work. And even though I didn't put it in this presentation, he does a lot of connecting covers as well. Those books are going for cover price as well still.
Again, like, great detail on that cover.
Yeah, like, I've never seen, John Stewart look like that.
No.
Like, that John Stewart looks tough. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, here's another one that's a kind of under the radar. This is Absolute Power number 3. This is what they call the Power Participation cover. I don't know what that means. I don't care. It's a $6 it's a $6 comic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got failsafe in the front. So another first DC crossover. So he does have quite a few DC books. There are some that are coming that are absolutely gorgeous. So here's one that I figured, hey, you know what? It's a $6 book.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, if you put them all in order, you can see a development of the style. At least from my point of view. Like, I'm not super familiar with all of his art, so
yeah. The other thing is worth noting is that a lot of the art is not in the order of when they were created. So they're appearing as we speak, but they're older pieces. You'll start noticing that as we go. So let's see what figure. Pray tell, do you wonder how is it possible for him to be that incredibly fast? Probably. I'm accusing him of X, but okay. Yeah. Well, he's able to perform this work because he is doing a digital media, which allows you to go a lot faster than normal. It's just the manipulation of the program and how you utilize it that makes him go a lot faster. So that's really the thing. And again, a lot of these pieces are older pieces. These pieces have been created about a year, 2 years ago. So they've been sitting there, and now they're coughing him up because he's currently hot. Here's the Spawn that I told you about, Spawn 356. This book came out not that long ago. This book is currently going for $3. There are 9.8s, and 9.8s are going for about $54. The highest sale was $59. But this book is only $3, and this is his actual first Spawn cover.
Another one I'm going to be looking for on Wednesday.
Yeah. And again, you can see this is one of the older pieces, and you could see that, like you said, that development in his style. Mm-hmm. All right. Now let's talk about the big book. But before we get to talk about the King Spot editions, he did do a Kickstarter campaign, because the Mark Spears Monster series were part of a trading card series that he also did a Kickstarter for. So there are plenty of trading cards that came out 2023, 2022, and then he just created a comic book because he wanted to do interior work. So if you pick up Mark Spears Monsters, it is his work. He did the interior work, which I give him respect. This is where I say he's becoming the next Alex Ross. If he does more interior works, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, from going from covers, take a artist I love, David Nakayama, and he's done tons of covers but hasn't really done any interiors. You make that transition and can lay things out and work with the writer and do your own thing. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This book currently is going for $900. This version, right? This is one of the most expensive books out there because he printed them out. He had a printer. The printer did the copies, and that was it. So this book is going for $900. It's very difficult to find because, again, the print run is low for this book, right? With that, this is where we get to see all these homages. So one thing that Mark Spears has, I guess, you've been accused of, I don't know if it's an accusation as much as it is a general love, because we've all done it, right? And that is paint. It's the homages, but his homages have to deal with the different types of monsters. So the universal monsters type. So you can see Amazing Spider-Man 600 there. You can see the famous Dracula comic that's there. And then there's some other books that come along there. There are a lot. And I can't show you all of them, but I can show you some of them. Here's another one. That one's an homage to an Iron Man cover of the one with Frankenstein. I didn't even know he did an homage to the Transformers cover right there.
I've never seen that one.
So he did that one. And then you have, Dracula's witches there, or brides. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. I just ordered the Killing Joke homage.
Oh, yeah.
That was in the previews. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the King Spot books. So King Spot decided that, well, they worked with him in which they distributed his book, and they actually have a 50-50 distribution. So 50% of the sales he gets, 50% of the sales they get. How you take it, it's up, it's your own personal reason how you feel about it. But why they're calling me? So I just go straight to voicemail. So going back to this whole thing, this book is the one that started it all. This is not the big book, but this is the cover A, and it's currently going for $172 near mint. 9.8 goes for $321. It just sold for $382, well above that fair market value. And However, a recorded sale of 190 happened as well this week. And as I mentioned, it is part of the trading card series.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I think in a couple of weeks or a few weeks, we're going to see how this all holds up when all these retailers get all these books in, and if they suffer from that or not, that whole kind of limited print run.
Yeah, oversaturation, I think, is bound to happen now. I think we're at that stage. Everybody knows about Mark Spears. There are those who absolutely want to pick it up, and there's those who are like, it's just another one. Okay. In my humblest. All right. And again, everybody's I'm fine with everybody's opinion of who, but I'm not going to discredit his popularity right now, because he is, dare I say, he is the artist of 2024. I don't think anyone out there has come close to what he has been able to accomplish this past year.
Well, there's a ton of hype around his name for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, I'm with you. He's not Alex Ross, but then again, Alex Ross is not Mark Spears. So, and I think, and that's fine. I think that the situation here is more on the lines of who else has shown up the same way. And the comparison is Alex Ross, as far as painting colors, because you can't say that about the other guys. You cannot say that about, let's say, Art Germ. You cannot say that about all these other artists that have been coming out. David Nakayama. You're not going to compare David Nakayama to Alex Ross. The only person you can make that slight comparison is Mark Spears. And in this book, he is doing the interiors. So I give him credit for that. He wanted to do the interiors. Right now, the book has 8 issues in, so it's not going to end in 4. He's going to continue the series. So it's I'm not sure if it's an ongoing series or if he wants it to be an ongoing series. But he has 8 issues already in the pipe. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at the big one, which is the Bridezilla variant. So we saw the other one, which is going for about $900. This, let's be honest, reprint.
Yeah.
This reprint is $159 near mint. 9.8s are going for $398. However, this book has sold for $430 in November. Last time it was sold for $130. This is the Bridezilla cover. Have you ever wondered who she looks like?
No, I just figured like Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. She has comparison to a very popular I use the term actress quite loosely in this case. But someone that was really big in the 90s, I would say.
It
and
looks
worked
very
with
familiar.
Stan Lee at one time.
Oh.
She was also married to a famous rock star. If you look at the chat, you may get the answer.
Angelina Jolie, but
that's a good guess, but
oh yeah,
she ever has it. She's been now you see it, right?
Yep.
So she's been getting comparisons to Pamela Anderson. And he was asked about that. He says, well, he has a model that he utilizes as well, and that's the comparison here. But this is the book that kickstarted it. Dare I say it, kickstarted the Mark Spears train, and right now it hasn't stopped.
No,
and
definitely not.
Papa is not Jenna. It's definitely Pam. Mm-hmm. Our next book is the Trick or Treat second printing variant. This one is special because this has an Air edition. And it showcased the mole.
The
you
mole,
can see it on the
mole
image.
edition.
Yeah, the mole edition. It hasn't gained that much popularity. It actually has died out because the fair market value is $29 today, and it last sold for $25 in December. In November, however, people wanted this book that badly, and someone coughed up $203 for this book. They could have waited, couldn't they?
Patience.
A mole.
Oh,
A mole. And it was a printing error. That's all it was. I would have just let it slide. I was like, let's just leave the mole there. Who cares?
yeah.
All right. Here's the other one. We talked about this earlier, so let's go ahead and talk about it again. Mark Spears Monster, the Ultimate Comics ASM 601 variant. This is limited to 500 copies. This is going for $77. There's no slabs recorded just yet. $150 raw was the last recorded big sale of this book. And recently it sold for $75. So the price of this book is actually dropping.
I would look at picking it up. I'd have to check the price, but being fun to have it side by side with the ASM one.
Yeah. If you go back and you hunt down the Kickstarter books, they are immensely expensive. We're talking 500, 500, 600, 700, and you saw the Bridezilla's going for 900. Those are the books that are hugely expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And let's take a look at some of the covers here that he has for this book. As you can see here, this is another one. You got the Halloween homage. The werewolf one is, I actually really like the werewolf.
That's amazing. That's amazing cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, you got another one with the Bride and Dracula, another werewolf. Nightmare on Elm Street one is currently pretty hot right now. And we kind of knew that when we talked about it, the homage to Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'm taking my own advice. I'm just being patient. I'll wait. I'm going to get that eventually.
Right. You got the Steranko Incredible Hulk homage there. I would have used Frankenstein personally instead of the werewolf. But, right. Here's another Bridezilla one. It's like werewolf on the phone, so that's another. Some more that's out there. Look, Punisher homage 129. That's actually, that one looks pretty cool. I like that one.
Yeah, the werewolf again.
All right.
Very well
the
done.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Homage, the Top McFarlane homage to 340. Here's another Monsters. So he's done so many because they were all part of his trading card series too. So there was a little bit of that going on there too. So another, there you go, Spider-Man #1. Some homages there. There's an homage to X-Men, Days of Future Past. So we have that one. A classic right there. The pre-code horror books.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
and
Wolverine and Hulk. Obviously 181, Incredible Hulk 181. So.
There you go. See, you got the Frankenstein there on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see what I mean? I would have used Frankenstein. Here's another book that came out not that long ago. It's the Svengali 45th Anniversary Buzanza #1. This is from Buy Me Toys variant. Company is called Gemstone. Are you familiar with Svengali?
No, I've never heard of it.
So Svengali is, have you ever seen Mystery Science Theater?
Just a few episodes.
Or heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
He's very similar to that, where he's kind of like a host. He hosts a show that leads to like a horror series of movies or stuff like that. So he does that for MeTV, and he's immensely popular apparently in that genre. And what ended up happening is that they ended up doing a comic book with him, and this comic book was I do remember this when this book came out and how some people. It actually did appear in the list. I'm not sure if this one appeared in the list or another book. Now I'm starting to think it was this one. Again, a lot of people don't know about it, but it still has some value to it. It's about a $68 value, fair market value, with the highest sale being $75. But it's based off of this popular MeTV series. There's a Novira.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were saying?
I was just going to say that in Canada there was a band called Svengali, and any of the Canadian people listen might have. That's what it reminds me of,
Mm.
just spelled different.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the guy. I've seen him before. It could be Sven Gulli. Yeah. So DVH has it, right? So Sven Gulli is like Elvira and Joe Bob Briggs, very influential in a certain. Thank you, DVH, for sharing. I would figure you would know that. Okay, let's take a look at our next book. This one's a hugely popular book, the Thundercats Apex #1. The one I showcase is the 1 in 15 Virgin variant, which is the most sought after book out of the bunch. There is a metal edition as well, which has some value to it as well, but this is the one that people are hunting down for. This one's going for $110 near mint. There's already 9.8s, and the last 9.8 was at $42. So that's an outlier, I'm sure,
Yeah.
because this book is selling for, like, the last highest sale was $209, but the book is going for about $150.
Yeah, and when we talked about this book before, it's still true. You put Thundercats fans together with Mark Spears fans and a major appearance, and you got a winner.
Well, here's the other thing. Mark Spears is a die-hard 80s animation fan. He loves Thundercats. He loves Transformers. He loves G.I. Joe, and he loves Silverhawks. So you're going to see more of that coming soon. Right. Here's another one for DC Comics, Superwoman Special #1. This is the 1 in 25 variant. Fair market value of this book is $56. 9.8s are going for $70. The highest sale of this book was at $105 on December 15th. Last recorded sale was $50. Again, there goes that Lobo.
Yep. And like you were saying, now that they've shown this one, this is probably an earlier one that was done as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was probably made aware of Superwoman's costume. They usually know these things in advance. So there you have it. He probably did it alongside the other Lobo piece that he did. One that we talked about as well, Return of the Living Dead. This came out last week, actually, for American Mythology. Fair market value of this book is currently at $14. 9.8s already selling for about $87. The highest sale of this book was early in the year at $100, but the last recorded sale was $10. So somebody, like we said before, couldn't wait, could they? They had to have it.
Had to have it.
Yeah. So there's that. And let's take a look at some other books there that he has coming up. So that first book, Miss Fury and Green Hornet. I've seen art that looked like that with those same characters. This is what I meant by the comparison to Alex Ross. This looks like Alex Ross comparison of the characters.
Yeah, I think so. You can easily draw that comparison for sure, especially when you take out the horror element and just kind of go more realistic people.
You got the Mum-Ra in the centers for Dynamite. That's coming out very soon. There's a lot of covers for that one, for that specific piece. So be on the lookout for that one. Silverhawks is coming out, and he'll be doing some covers for the Silverhawks.
And there's some really cool ones of that too. Really cool.
Yeah. And he's going to do Johnny Quest with Space Ghost. Like, that looks like a kid, but man, it doesn't. I don't feel the Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like he's the kid from The Sixth Sense, to tell you the truth.
Or something like that for sure.
But you're not going to tell me you don't want that Superman Flash race?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's good, but I don't know if I would get that one. There's other ones I'm going to be hunting.
You notice that the blues have been cooling off a little bit?
Yep.
Right. And finally, he will be doing Spawn 77. My understanding is that he's going to be doing interiors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's why I said get your Spawn comics ready, because he's returning to Spawn.
Yep, I'm
All right.
taking this list to the store on Wednesday.
So there you have it, guys. Mark Spears. Let me know what you think about his books. Do you like his art? Do you not like his art? Do you think he's a fad? How do you feel about the Universal Monsters and his take? Do you like the homages? Please let me know in the chat. And we'll see you at the next Creator Spotlight. Wow. What a trajectory right now. That's all I got to say towards that.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you did that, because it's, like I said, it's one of those artists that I wanted to know more about. So it's always a well done job, Izzy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, just to remind everybody, we still have the gifts, what they call gifts, goals. We still have a goal. And just like Papa Wheelie say, we're 29 minutes away. You see, I think we're gonna hit it, man. I think we're gonna look. TM Nerdy's already saying do Grant Morrison next. Well, I haven't decided how we're gonna pull off the next one. We usually talk it out and then we make a decision. The trailer for Return. Oh, continuation. Look at that. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm not sure who's the next creator spotlight we're gonna do. I don't know. Where do you think you want to go with this? Should we go back to an artist? Should we get a because I was thinking, okay, you know what? I'm gonna throw it out now. So TM, we're not gonna do Grant Morrison. Trust me, I will get to Grant. What if, and hear me out, we look at the 70s and we pick somebody from the 70s.
Or you could do a writer-artist combo.
Ooh.
There's a few of those that come to mind.
Yeah, but I think that might be a little harder. You know, we got Frank Quietly.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Frank Quietly. Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Suspiria, she is great. I'm not aware of Suspiria. Are you aware of Suspiria?
Nope.
Not sure. All right. Anyway, you guys tell me. Put it in the chat when we do it. We'll run the poll sometime this week, and we'll decide who we'll do. I am thinking about 70s. We did 80s, we did 90s, we did 80s. I think maybe we could go into 70s. There's some really phenomenal guys from the 70s.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
I think we could definitely pull from. So we'll take a look at that. There you go. There's one right there.
Yeah,
that's another one. You see, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right. We got 30 minutes before the show kicks off. So let's get ready and talk about the new comic books that are coming out this week, right before I start watching Raw. So I might be able to get Raw on time. So let's go. New comic book day, fresh picks. Starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, this week in comic books for January 8th, 2025, there's some good books. I'm starting to notice that we're getting lighter in our books. There's not as many as they used to be. Or there's certain books that are not as prevalent, if that means anything.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay. But there are some really good titles that are scheduled for this week. Before we do that, we got to give credit where credit's due to our boy Superior Stan. I want to give them a shout out. They got some great stuff. They got some good stuff on the horizon as well coming up. Make sure you hit them up. If you hit that QR code, it helps me out as well. They're a huge supporter of the channel. So thank you guys at Superior Stans. Let's look at our rundown for this week. We got 68 new comics scheduled, which, like I said, it's not that much. 68 is actually a low number, I would say.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But 320 variants.
That's not a low number.
That's not a low number indeed. 19 new number ones and 11 potential new keys with 2 first appearances scheduled. As I mentioned before in previous videos, we cannot automatically tell you that they're going to be keys because we don't know. The books haven't come out. So there could be other things in the horizon as well. Let's break it down with Marvel's 14 titles. And DC has a lonely 5 books. That shocked me when I saw that. Image has 10 titles. Boom Studios has 1 book. IDW has 4 books. Dark Horse has 14. Dynamite has 1. But look at how many variants they got, baby. uh,
Oh,
Mad
man.
Cave doesn't have anything this week. Titan has actually some reprints or second printings that are coming out. And from the indie publishers, you got 16 titles with 64 variants. Let's start off and take a look at one of the keys to watch. Aquaman is back, baby. We talked about Jason Momoa being Lobo, but Aquaman is still there.
Well, I got to say that he was the best thing about Aquaman, in my opinion.
I personally like Aquaman. He's a fun character if written well. You got to be able to know how to write him. And Jeremy Adams is writing Aquaman. So not since Jeff Johns have I been excited for an Aquaman series.
Yeah, I don't know if I think I'm going to wait on this one.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the one in the center is that Ivan Reese cover. That's the one I like the most.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
Mm-hmm. Right. Our next book is from Marvel, and it's the New Champions. This is the first appearance of the New Champions, formerly known as the Assembly, the first team appearance of the Cult of Hela, and there is some possible first appearances as well that were mentioned. This book has had some momentum behind it because over the past year or two, the characters have been popping up in variant covers. So we're going to put them all together. This is Marvel's answer to the Teen Titans, I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'd say so too. And you're right. With all of the multiple kind of cameo issues and cover appearances, I think they're banking on a lot of people picking this up. I'll pick up a cover for sure.
Yeah, it's to me, it's worth a read. I love teen titles, so we'll see how that works for this book. So yeah, that's all I gotta say towards that. All right. But Absolute Batman issue number 4 is out this week. We're gonna have a different artist, so I don't know how that makes me feel. That we're already in 4 issues, and we have a new artist. He's a guest artist. Yeah. He's gonna do a portion, and so we're gonna have Nick return. I don't know when Nick is coming back, Nick Dagoda, but Gabriel Hernandez is going to be doing the artwork. Gabriel Hernandez Walta is going to be doing the art for issue number 4. So personally, it's a wait and see for me. Mm-hmm. I'm absolutely going to pick up Absolute Batman number 4. There's no doubt about it. I'm concerned that the artwork is going to suffer.
Yeah, it's a little bit troublesome. I mean, there's probably a story there, but when an artist changed just after 3 issues, not super promising in my opinion.
Yeah, especially since you've been planning this out. At least finish the arc.
Yeah,
do the arc.
Get to 5.
Get to 5, get to 6, and then give me another artist. But to have a new artist just after 3 issues on the 4th issue, even though I'm sure Nick is going to be returning, but we'll see how it turns out. I think this is a make it or break it moment.
Yeah. And how about that center cover, the 1 in 25?
Look at them all, man. He seems like he gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. That is a pretty great A cover, though. I will say that.
Yeah. All right. Our next one is this one. Okay. I don't hate Magic. I love Magic. I think Magic's a phenomenal character. But this is just like super covered by comics.
Magic, yeah, I do think the story is going to be pretty good, though. I'm very hopeful for it. But I do like Magic as well. She's one of my favorite characters. So
they got J. Scott Campbell doing the covers for cover A. You got Ji Hunk Lee doing the center one. David Nakayama doing another one. I think last I checked, there might be 30 covers for this book.
They're forcing me to buy multiple covers of this book. Unfortunately, they're separating me from my money.
If I buy one. And it's going to probably be
strong-willed person. Is he strong-willed?
The J. Scott Campbell cover A. I don't care. I'm a fan of trade dress. I like trade dress.
Yep, I'll be getting that one too.
Here's another book. Yeah, because I got to find out who this Venom is, right? So all new Venom issue number 2. We got Aim and Fire. They're gonna fight them. Who are the Symbiote Squad? Got some really another book with some really cool covers there. I just want to find out who is Venom.
Yeah,
more and more I'm starting to think that it's not Luke Cage.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if they're not going to tell us yet, but I do have heard that there's a little bit of good news for those of us that were not a fan of the last ASM run and the whole Paul scenario. If you're not a fan of Paul, then you will probably like to read this book.
There you go. So all new Venom number 2 comes out this week. Also, another big book. Transformers 16, Autobots versus Decepticons versus Spoiler? Who's the third entity in the battle? But that Megatron cover.
Look at that Megatron cover. I'm in.
Wow. Yeah, unfortunately, I believe that's an incentive.
Yeah, and I didn't get that texted to me, so I don't think they have it, but I'll have to see.
Yeah.
Or someone took it ahead of me.
So that looks so good.
Yeah.
So good. All right. Amazing Spider-Man is also out this week. I've been collecting them because we got the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. I've been collecting because of Scotty Young covers. I'm sorry. I love them.
I did pick up the Scotty Young last week, the one with the little baby vultures in it. I thought it was hilarious, so I grabbed it.
This one is Spider-Man in a jar.
Yeah.
and then you see comic books, you see some Skittles.
Yeah, that's pretty funny too. I like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, our indie pick of the week is the Lucky Devils. This is from the same team that brought to you 8 Billion Genies. This book was hot for New York Comic Con. It was one of the books that was exclusive at New York Comic Con, so there is a New York Comic Con version of this book. However, this one's the Image comic. The book that you see in the center, that was done by Frank Miller.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, especially with all the stuff he's been throwing out these days. But
I'm looking forward to this book. I can't wait to read it. I loved 8 Billion Genies.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. I have multiple versions of it, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this.
I agree. I think 8 Billion Genies was a phenomenal read. It was my favorite read of that year. This has a lot of high hopes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's take a look at our eye-catching variants. Our first one is Uncanny X-Men number 8. That Gambit by Miguel Mercado is gorgeous to me. It's a really nice piece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Right. Wolverine number 5, God Tales, the name of the artist. Another great piece. Kind of has this Joe Quesada flair to it.
You know what? I didn't pick that up until you said that, but I was trying to place kind of that style, and that's it. Like, yeah, right on the head there.
Mm-hmm. Also, Daredevil Unleashed, Red Band number 1, the Stephanie Hans cover. That's my favorite cover out of this book. I do think I'm going to pick that book up because it has Muse in it as well. So didn't talk it as a pick, but I am interested in reading that story. Yes, 8 Billion Genies did come out in 2023. I think I mentioned that. Thank you, TM. Mm-hmm. Next book, Batman and Robin 17. Look at that cover by Dustin Huey.
Yeah, even the center one is great.
The Dark Patterns issue 2. Mark Simmons, he's a friend of the channel. Amazing work. And speaking of Mark Spears, DC versus Vampires, World War V, number 6.
And strangely enough, my pick for that one will be the other cover.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So got that one. And then these are some other ones that are coming out. Geiger number 10. That's a great cover by Gary Frank. We saw this one earlier when we did Creator Spotlight. Green Hornet, Miss Fury number 1, Mark Spears. And you know what? I picked Moon Man number 6, Stefano Simone. That's nice. That's just a beautiful painting.
That's a
That's
cool
like
cover.
that's like canvas art right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for Geiger, it's obviously from that cover, Junkyard Joe is back. So if you've been following Geiger or you're a fan of the Ghost Machine universe, you might want to grab that one.
Mhm. Yep. And I do believe this is our last. And this is one you picked. New champions number 1, the Art Germ 1 in 100 cover of Amarith. I believe that's her name.
Yes.
All right. So that's a pretty cool cover. And then we got Wolverine number 5. David Yarden does another homage. This time it's the homage by Mike Zack of Captain America, but instead of Steve Rogers, Wolverine is fighting Sam Wilson.
Yeah, that's a cool cover too. I really like that one.
Mhm. Yeah. The last one I saw just stood out to me with that neighbor number 6. That is such a nice picture to me.
It is
I
very
probably
cool.
won't pick that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been reading that one either.
Yeah. So neighbor number 6 by Alexander Loranza. So that's it. We did it.
We did it.
We did it, man. Guys, we're about to make it. I'm gonna watch Raw live. Yeah, baby. So we didn't get our goals, and that's fine. We are going to be doing a special giveaway. FYI, I'm holding a watch party. If you want to, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch because I have to eat my dinner. If I have time, I'll stop by and watch it because I really want to watch it live. Just sit down, eat dinner. But if send me the link, Papa. I'll probably stop by over here for a little bit. But yeah, I got to see me some Raw. But guys, we try to keep this quick today. Next week we'll go back to our 2-hour schedule, even though we're getting 2 hours. I gotta make sure if somebody says something.
Ain't well nothing yet. Hi. Name's Lobo. Please stop making me blush.
Timely. Oh no, I was paying attention to the time today. I was like, I'm definitely watching something. Let's go. KO. All right. Shane, where can they find you?
Well, I'm over on Instagram and YouTube. Do my thing on Wednesdays. I release a bunch of new videos of all these books we've been talking about for New Comic Book Day. Everything I pick up. On Mondays, I do a little slab in a minute, just a little quick video on a slab I pick up. And I throw out some other videos too. So you can catch all of that stuff on Instagram or YouTube. And I'm hanging out here. I love it.
Yeah. Shane's always great. He's officially the co-host of the show. So you can catch his stuff on my channel. Well, you could catch my channel, Izzyverse, but we're also broadcasting it in his channel as well. It's been fun, guys. Next week we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Will Lobo return? Yeah, he's returning. I don't think. But what's going to be the new book of the weekend? Will we see Mark Spears again? Yeah, we probably will.
Probably.
But should Jeff return? That's the real question.
Will he make the cut with all that other stuff going on?
Ultimate Wolverine's not that far away.
No.
So who
That's
knows?
going to be a big week. One more week.
All right. I got about 10 minutes before the wrestling starts. I'll see you guys next time. Excelsior, and thank you.
I think this is it. I think you're about to go home. Okay. All right. Look, thank you.
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 Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I never said thank you. And you'll never have to.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I'll see you.